Tanner here at Western Motor, and for this week's Around the Block, we get to interview one of my favorite people in Garden City, and that's Senator John Dahl. Senator?
How you doing? You need to upgrade. You know, if I'm one of your favorite people, man.
I don't know.
It's tough.
I disagree. I disagree. So, John, this week, typically what we like to do is we like to take somebody around in one of our nicer vehicles that we have here. This week we've got a 2020 Chevy Silverado LT Special Edition. Pretty sweet car.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It looks good. It looked good in my garage, but I don't know if it fit.
I think we can make some adjustments. Anyway, you ready to go?
Ready to go.
Let's do it.
So we have, welcome Len. Oh, I mean, sorry, John. You got that Len Dawson shirt on.
You know, I just
Striking resemblance.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people probably, you guys don't even know Lynn Dawson.
Oh, now come on now.
Watched Inside the NFL forever.
One of my favorite pictures, all-time football pictures, I think is at the Super Bowl, and Lynn Dawson sitting on the bench with a Marlboro and a Coca-Cola. Remember that picture? It's just ironic.
That's the old NFL.
That is the old NFL. That was just a classic picture. I see that. It just cracks me up.
So, John, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming, taking the time to come, because obviously I know that your time in Garden City is short these days. So let's just jump right to it. And you've been in Topeka now. The session just started.
Yeah.
A weekend. So how's it going so far?
You know, it's the first 2 weeks is a little different last year, but it's all kumbaya. Everybody's just all
right now.
Backslapping right now. And then in a week or so, it's a little bit different because of redistricting. I haven't dealt with that before, so that seems to be holding things up a little bit. But normally, it's always been, other than last year, that first week, everybody just loves everybody. And, you know, it changes before the month's out.
Is it kind of like the first day of school after summer break?
Exactly. I told my wife I always feel like I need to put new clothes on and new shoes, take a picture on the front step, you know, with a backpack.
With a backpack?
On.
That's right.
So, John, what issues do you think will be dominating the session this year?
Well, there are going to be several issues that are huge. You know, the redistricting is going to be big. Medical marijuana is going to be a big issue. Transgender is going to come back up. School finance, the whole education system is going to be. That's one that has me most worried. You know, being a former educator and things of that nature, is there's a big push to move money with the student instead of having to go to the school, which is very worrisome for schools and such. And the COVID aspect, you know, you have these people that, and I totally respect their view and everything, but they're anti-vaxxers. You have the vaxxers, which when you're dealing with a large group of people in a small confined area, you know, it makes it so you need more universal rules, in my opinion, which we're having a difficult time getting.
Sure. So that's kind of the big picture view. But now, you know, one of the things that we have come to expect from you is that you really pick out some issues that are important to your constituents out here. What issues do you think will be most impactful for this part of the state?
Well, Medicaid expansion is huge for me, but I don't think we'll ever have an opportunity to vote on it. But, you know, I have 10 counties, 8 of them have county hospitals. That plays a large role on property tax, for example. And anytime that you can, to me, property tax is a Lucifer of taxes, and that's basically your local governments. That's the only way that they can collect money.
Right.
So that's big for me. And the other thing is you know, being a former educator, I think education is how you can break your chains. That's what I used to always tell the students. If you want to break your chain, move up in the world, it's done through education and such. And I'm really worried about where public education is going to go.
Sure. Education, just that issue, it's always something a little bit different, but the issue never goes away.
It's just, it just changes colors.
That's right. You're from Ingalls, small
Kansas.
town, southwest Kansas.
Yeah.
Tell me, Dahl family stronghold there in Ingalls.
Well, it was my dad. My Dahl family actually came from Ellenwood. My grandpa went to Wright, Kansas.
Okay.
And then from Wright, they bought him along with some other people bought an elevator in Ingalls. So Dad was just a youngster at that time. They Dad come down to run that elevator. And then him and Grandpa and the Ursicks got together and built a little small feed yard, a 5,000 head feed yard. It since has grown quite a bit, expanded.
Yeah, just a little. So tell us what life was like growing up in small town Southwest Kansas, and how it kind of has helped shape you into the person that you are.
I don't know, they're going to close down all the small towns if we can go into that real deep, how it shaped me. But anyway, one of the things I loved is we could get into the school anytime we wanted to. We weren't supposed to, but there's nothing really else to do, so we would go up there in the wintertime when there wasn't school, and we would play basketball because there really wasn't anything else to do. And then in the summertime, what it made you do is you had to create your fun. We didn't have a swimming pool or anything like that. The other thing that it did is that wasn't a fond memory, but about the time you could see over that steering wheel, you were on a tractor or a swather. That's just the way the world was there.
Peter could see over his steering wheel though when he was about 6, though, right?
Yeah, that's too
Not
bad.
that age.
I kind of always walked over, humped over as much as I could, but it was. So you learn that work ethics. You learn the family values and that sort of thing.
Any small town shenanigans that you're at liberty to discuss?
Yeah, there's a few. I can remember one of the things we used to like to do, and it's not real bright.
Well, shenanigans usually aren't.
Yeah, but we would climb the side of that grain elevator and go to the top, and we'd take a gunny sack of pop bottles or pop cans or cans, whatever we could find.
Whatever had some weight.
Yeah, and we would play horse. There was a pickup always on this other side, this old pickup that might still be sitting there. And, so you'd have to shoot a hook shot. Now I'm so fearful of heights, but we would have, 1 foot over the ledge, finger roll with your right. We would do...
Of the elevator.
Yeah, of that grain elevator that's 120 feet up in the air.
So it was always about basketball for you.
So it was, that was something that, and then there was, we had a slaughterhouse, 1 cow at a time, 1 steer at a time. And I used to get in a little trouble with that because you'd take parts out of there. It would never be for anything. Of course, with the profession of the butcher, but I can remember putting like cow eyeballs in my sister's bed. That didn't go real well. It was a lot of fun, actually.
Before you got into politics, you were a teacher and a coach, right? I know that very well.
Well, prior to that, I had a business between my teaching and coaching. I had a business that of my own that 12, 15 years that really shaped me in a way that you had to hire people. Another reason I pushed Medicaid expansion because sometimes I had 15 people I hired and I couldn't pay them health care. Mm-hmm. And you had to learn that if this equipment broke down, that's coming out of my pocket. When you're working for somebody else, it breaks down and that break. One of them things. And prior to that, I was a teacher and coach for 20 years, which I really, really liked. But it was I wanted to put my kids through college, and you just couldn't make no money doing that.
Sure.
And it was sad, but that's the reality of it.
So what made you want to go into politics, John?
I can remember my wife would tell me, because I asked her this time ago, I ran as a Democrat against Jerry Moran in 2006. And I asked her, when did I tell you I was going to do that? And she says, John, you were sitting in our office reading the newspaper, and then Smoky Hills TV was on, and there was a particular bill I was following that doubled the interest rates on taxes, and student loans was going up, and there was something else, and it dealt with Social Security, all the things that I thought was really strong for our congressional 1st district. And people who know me don't know I don't care about Democrats or Republicans or any of that sort of thing. I'm a fairly conservative dude fiscally.
Right.
But I was sitting there going, time somebody talked me into running for city commission, and I wasn't interested at all because I was tired. I just finished campaigning. I ran for city commission. I got they have two people get a 4-year term. One person gets a 2-year term. I got the 2-year term, and then I didn't feel like I had. It's never a personal thing, but I didn't agree with the guy who was at the House. I thought he was there again voting for a party, not voting for our people. And so I decided to run against him. The same thing, the Senate. I have never ran for a position because I wanted that position. I ran for that position so I felt like we could get people who wanted what was best for our area, not necessarily best for a particular political
Ran
party.
for a purpose, not a position.
That's kind of where I'm at. I believe strongly in term limits, so this is it.
Sure.
This is my. I have 3 years left. That will be 2 terms, 8 years in the Senate, and then it's time to come home.
And let somebody new go up there. New blood, new ideas.
New blood, new ideas, and I go home. That's,
Now, we know, just like us, you love KU basketball. I mean, that's a shared love that we all have. What are your impressions of the team this year, John?
well, first of all, just for clarity, I'm a bigger Bill Self fan. Because back in my coaching days, I used to work camps all over the country. I went to Notre Dame 13 years. I would work Oklahoma camp. I worked WSU, KU, K-State. And one of the places I went for years was Oklahoma State. Bill Self was an assistant there. And so for 1 week, there was like 5 of us. It was like home week. And we would just have a blast. And so when he got to wherever he went, went to Oral Robertson, to Tulsa, and then here. And when he got the KU job, it made it really, really good. Because, it was allowed.
You married two
Yes.
things.
And so one of the pluses I get, I can text him. And
Have you talked to him recently?
Well, we talked. Yeah. Well, I got his phone number. We text. I go to practice. They have closed practices, so I'll go watch practice.
What's that like?
Oh my! I've never. My players, they used to thought I was rough and all this and everything like this. I can remember this was a while back ago, before they played in Missouri. This is when they had Jamari Taylor and all those. They just big and very physical. But there was 4 people that got cut in that practice. They just had it was like a boxing ring. They had a cut doctor.
You don't leave bleeding, you're not trying hard enough.
No, it was just, that is how, there's no out of bounds. And if there's a ball that goes, there better be about 8 people going after it, or there's going to be a problem. The other thing I got to do, that practice, being a former coach, this was really cool for me, was I got to watch him do the scouting report. And so then I happened to get tickets right behind their bench, right behind it, so I could see him diagramming this play that he went over with in practice.
That's pretty cool.
And then you get, so what's happening before it happens, and you're going to say, holy cow, that's going to open up like you wouldn't believe. So that's cool. That's
Yeah,
on
that
the,
is-
on
that's
the,
real cool.
on the
Yeah.
middle
Yeah,
level, that's
yeah,
cool.
That's what every KU fan wishes they could do.
But he is the most humble, down-to-earth guy.
They say he's amazing with names.
It's incredible with names. I hadn't seen him, after he left. And then we go to a game, a friend of mine, and I go to games in Ames, Iowa, and we just happened to be at the same place they were staying. Didn't have any idea, saw the bus. He's standing over by himself. I hadn't seen him in 15 years. I don't know how long. And I go over there and I said, Coach, he goes, you're John Dahl. What in the world are you doing here? And I was like, holy cow. I said, I'm just trying to remember who you are. You look familiar.
Your coaching days, Bishop Carroll, from Bishop Carroll to Ingalls.
Out of Scott City and then to Eagle.
Right,
I wasn't
right.
very good, Brett. I had to keep
They can only stand you for so long.
Yeah,
man.
but prior to Wichita, I was at Forty State as an assistant for Coach Slay. I had 3 schools before that. Yeah, I had to keep moving.
All those experiences, all those things that you took from those coaching days, are there any experiences, wisdom that you now implement as a politician?
Yeah, I think all of it is. Sports is life. Life is sports. And you got to learn how to get along as a team. You have to learn how to give and take a little bit. It's like a marriage, the wife's always the head coach in a marriage. But there was you have to, and you have to be able to compromise, the ability to compromise. And if you go into practice and you come in there, when I first started, I was a tyrant. I was really, really, really tough. And if you talk to people when I was getting out, they would say, he was awful rough, but they should have saw me my first couple of years. It was just a whole different deal. But you want you expect things. It's kind of a funny story. My wife and I started dating when I was coaching, and we started right after the season started. So we got to know each other fairly well before the season starts. She comes to a game, and after the game, she said, John, you're a lot different during a game than you are in RL in real life. And I said,
You're still married.
Yeah, and I said, Janet, when there's a clock and they're keeping a score, there's a sense of urgency that you don't have in real life. And so she could understand that. And then so I'm dealing with 15, 16-year-olds. I get 35 seconds or 40 seconds, whatever it is, that I want something specifically done. And if it doesn't get done that right, there's going to be heck to pay for everybody.
Right.
And so with my kids, my God, I could do that 15 times and I wasn't going to get the results I wanted.
It's a different world.
Different world.
Well, I think by the time you and I crossed paths, when you were at Ingles, you were a little more mellow by then?
I was so much more mellow, Brett, and I don't, like I told you before, you saved me a lot of times. I was a fairly intense dude, but you should have saw me in my prime.
So, we've known each other a long time, and one of the things that I've always appreciated about you is your interest in leadership, and the way that you study that area in particular. How has sort of the lessons that you've learned in your studies and then coaching and now in politics, how has that shifted your perspective on what leadership is and what that means?
First of all, readers make leaders. I believe that strongly. When you've got a kid or something like this, they need to be reading, and they need to. And I'm not saying that because I read a lot. I'm a good one. But the other thing is, you have to be able to give and take, and you have to, it's like an opponent. You respect every opponent, but you don't fear anyone. You need to respect that, regardless of where the person is on the social economic system, they're a human being, and they have their rights. They have the right to be listened to, and the right to an opinion. And that's one of the things that I feel like if I try to, that's what I try to do in my leadership role as a representative. I try to get among the people, and I'm not really caring who they are, whether they're making minimum wage or they're a billionaire. They're going to get hopefully the same. I've tried to be fair and honest with everybody. The other thing I feel like that I try to do, and I think leadership we have to do, is you can't toe the line. You got to be. There's a little bit of gray area, but you tell them when you're gray area. There's black and white, and you can't be afraid to tell them, I don't agree with you.
So conflict isn't necessarily a bad thing, in your opinion.
And you have to have a reason why. You just can't say a no and then just let it sit. You got to say no, and here's why I believe this.
So John, you told us that your favorite meal is the good old American cheeseburger.
Yeah.
Real quick, one thing, we love lists at Western. Best cheeseburger you've had in Kansas?
Davies Cafe in Ingles, and it was probably, I'm the only one who would say that in this close. I mean, the grease would drop off, but I went to school at St. Mary's Plains. I played basketball at little college at St. Mary's, went to school there. More basketball than went to school. Unfortunately, I should have changed that around. But I can remember just thinking, man, I need to drive to Ingles, have one of the cheeseburgers. It was just something you grew up with, and it was so good.
Yep.
And so when I go and I'm like, there, I'll call my brother. I said, man, his cheeseburger is like Davies Cafe. So we'll talk. And I don't like the big fancy cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
I like just regular good old cheeseburger.
How do you like the burger cooked?
I want it done.
Okay.
I want my steaks pretty medium rare to rare, but your cheeseburgers, your hamburgers got to be done.
Where do you get your cheeseburgers in Topeka?
Well, it's kind of funny. There's this place across the street from the Capitol. It's called the Celtic Fox. Celtic Fox, I have my own table because I go there every day. I have my own waiter, and they just sit there and they just redid it. They were sitting there going, "You gotta be careful because that's John Dahl's table right there." So I go in there and I eat at the same place, sit at the same place. I will walk in, they'll have my silverware and a soda sitting there, but I'll switch off sometimes. I'll get a cheeseburger, but I'll do a salad, or I'll do I won't do no chicken or fish, but anything else I'll
No,
man. If it had fins or feathers, I'd never eat it. Anytime
You're a beef guy.
I'm a beef dude, man. I'll do pork now and then, but if it had fins or feathers, I avoid it at all costs. Stuff will kill you.
Well, do they run people off from your table if you show up?
No, they won't let them sit there.
They just don't see them.
But yeah, before it was the reason I like it, they're going back to being a loner type thing, is I can see everybody in there and no one can see me. But now they redid it so they have me in the back booth so I can kind of just duck in, duck out. You get tired of seeing, some of the people. I got a lot of good friends there, really, that appreciate it. But what I mean, I don't want to sit here and talk about some policy thing. There's
Sometimes you just want to eat, John.
Yeah, those people up there, there's a lot of people up there, that's their life.
Uh-huh.
My life is my wife, my family, my people.
Good for you, John.
That's my life. And so, like I said, I need a break. I need a mental break. So I go to Celtic Fox.
What have you come to find is the most rewarding thing about this profession?
When I can sit there and get a phone call and these people are having trouble getting through on an insurance issue or this, like this, and somebody who really needs the help, and I can make a phone call, because what's good and bad, they have to take my phone calls. These agencies have to. If you throw that little senator in front of them, they got to take your phone. And they'll sit there, "John, I've tried calling and calling and calling, I can't get in." I said, "Let me see what I can do." And I can get those phone. And so when I really know that I help this person in a tight spot, this is a tight spot in their lives, and you can help them, that's the most rewarding thing for me.
What's the most challenging thing about this job?
Idiots. See, I'm a very competitive guy. If you play me in ping pong, you play me in, as I got older, I chilled out a little bit, but not a lot. But we play one-on-one or anything, I'm going to do everything I can to win. That's
Playing to win.
That's it, when you're keeping score, like I told you, if there's time at score, I want to be on the right side of that score. And so you get these people that will not budge because of a political issue, but it's not the best thing for the state of Kansas. And you sit there and try to reason with them, and there's no reasoning with them. They're still good people. We just have but that is frustrating because, not even having the opportunity. One time we had 21 sponsors. That's how many you need in the Senate for Medicaid expansion. It was Jim Diddy, one of the most conservative people you'll ever meet, was a majority leader, and Laura Kelly, the governor, both had come to a compromise on this, and we couldn't get it on the floor to vote on it. That makes you want to pull your hair out. I ain't got a lot left.
John, you did say that one of your favorite treats is ice cream or cinnamon roll. Well, this is winter in Kansas.
Yeah.
It's not ice cream weather, man.
It's always ice cream weather.
So what we did is we went to Hannah's.
Oh my, Hannah's, yeah.
And we got you a cinnamon roll.
Oh, yeah, these are the best. Yeah.
So there's your afternoon snack.
snack.
Yeah, this is probably my breakfast tomorrow. But thank you guys.
Thank
this was
you,
so
John.
much fun.